I do think that we can use medicine and health as a currency for peace. Morally, it is the right thing to do. It is built on the same trust, that same doctor-patient relationship that my dad had shared with me. And I've seen it in the Sudan, where in the southern Sudan, 2 million people have died, 5 million people have been displaced, fighting. When we first went in, we went in about 6 months after Osama bin Laden left, fighting. But over a period of time, that little schoolhouse that I showed you became a clinic. And the next year, a little market, and then a bigger market, and then the fighting stopped, and then the landmines were removed around the hospital. And in southern Sudan, there is peace today. I tend to gravitate to these areas, and most people don't know this sort of thing. As Majority Leader of the United States Senate, you get certain images, and that's fine, they don't know them, but the tsunami hit in December 26, 2004. A week later, I left the Majority Leader office as Majority Leader and quietly went to the tsunami. There I went, maybe a little bit as a senator, but predominantly as part of my medical mission work. By that period of time, most people had died, but they didn't have clean water, and then people like this gentleman had fled and suffered an injury. In this picture in the upper left hand, you see me giving Pedialyte out because the wells had been contaminated by the water coming in and overflown, and carcasses in the wells. So having that 1.2 billion people don't have access to clean water, having that clean water with those nutrients, life-saving. The box I'm delivering is from the federal government, your taxpayer money there. I was there when it arrived. That's USAID supplies and food to be able to deliver. I use this as an example because this next statistic, I think, shows why it's sort of a second reason you can use medicine as a currency for peace. After the visit of President Clinton and President Bush 41, with an investment, when they were bringing supplies to rebuild communities, support for the United States rose from 36% to 60% virtually overnight in the world's largest Muslim country, while support for Osama bin Laden dropped from 59% to 28%. Connection, this oneness, individual physicians working to establish trust, indeed, I believe, can affect the diplomacy of the United States of America. The 9/11 Commission report. When people lose hope, when societies break down, when countries fragment, the breeding grounds for terrorism are created. Through this soft power approach of using medicine as a currency for peace, we are fighting terrorism. What you can do, that's not really the purpose of tonight, but I wanted to throw this in because, you know, you talk about these things, and I'm running off for a month, and I'm in a position to do that sort of thing. Although I have to say I do it as a surgeon, and I do it as Majority Leader of the United States Senate. I did it as a senator. So whatever you're doing, people can create some period of time to do things, but let me go through a quick list. At the very bottom here, I say hopethroughhealinghands.com. That is my website that I do my charitable work through. It kind of puts all of this together, and if you're writing anything down, you can write that down, and later tonight or the conference, look at that particular website. I'll be using that website over the next month, starting in about 2 weeks, to communicate with people broadly about what I'm seeing on the ground as well. But it's called hopethroughhealinghands.com. I have, number one, support all levels of government. Spend time with leaders who do understand global poverty, who do commit to understanding public health, both in this country and indeed around the country and around the world, with that focus. There's a thing called the Millennium Challenge account, and I don't know if anybody's addressing it here from an academic standpoint, but I would encourage you to do so. It's an initiative that addresses extreme poverty around the world. It has about $7 billion today. The purpose is to give that money to the lower billion people in the world. Say there's 6 billion people, the lower billion people in terms of income in the world. But to do it in a way that reflects transparency, that reflects accountability, that is sustainable over time. Learn about the Millennium Challenge Corporation. Support that. Right now, a lot of congressmen don't like it because they like to earmark money. They like to say, let's give it to a particular country or a particular leader, and they write it in the legislation. We say no. We say take the taxpayer money, give it to a group of professionals, 150 private sector people, 150 public sector people who are smart in the development business, and they can demand the transparency and accountability so that if you give me $1, the government $1, government can come back and say this money is used directly to save lives. Take your family on a medical mission trip. Take even your church, whatever, just do it. Don't ask questions, just sign up. Next time it comes up at your church, go on that medical mission trip. Support some national organizations that you know are doing a good job, like Save the Children, addressing that issue of 10 million children who die every day of those preventable causes. And if you want to do something tonight, go on malarianomore.org or Nothing But Nets and give $10 and buy a bed net, which I can guarantee you will have an impact. The money will get there, I promise you, with these two organizations, and can save a life. I used this quotation a few minutes ago, really, and that'll be the final quotation I use, because I really do think it captures what we're talking about. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in that single garment of destiny, and what affects one directly affects all indirectly.